Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Everything Websites. And today we have actually a very special episode because it's going to be for the first time three of us. And it's a special episode also because it's an introduction to the Flow Ninja conference at the end of May. And these guys are going to be my teammates, panelists on this conference. Now, without further ado, I want to first introduce Mikhailo Ivanovic. He is SEO specialist from Flow Ninja. Mikhailo, welcome. And we also have Ogin Grujic, who is another SEO expert, and he is also an founder of the Fuse SEO. Ogin, welcome.
Pleasure to be here.
Yeah. Okay. So, guys, we wanted this to be something casual, just introduction to our panel, and to give you guys a bit more insights on SEO and AEO and what is it all fuss about and what we think about it. So to start with, maybe we can start with the thing like, what is this shift that we are seeing that happens in search, and what is your guys' stance on that? Whoever can start first, doesn't matter.
Perhaps I can start first because I'm kind of older than Ognian, so
Feel free.
So yeah, the shift is becoming real. It's like in the past couple of years, I thought, okay, it's gonna shift a bit, but it's like it's gonna just be like another thing we do in addition to everything we do in SEO, and it is basically. But it's like the change is bigger than anything we've seen in SEO in the last ever since SEO started. Because earlier Google dominated the space. The changes were mainly made by Google, not by anything external.
Yeah.
And now we have an entire new technology, and we kind of need to do something about it, right?
Yeah.
And the biggest shift, the one that we as SEO experts cannot ignore, is that just people aren't clicking anymore on, especially on the informational queries that can be easily extracted and shown by LLMs, right? And basically, if your content strategy was based on informing people, on getting people to click on the blue links in Google to read your blogs or whatever, and then you use some kind of lead magnet or whatever to get them as leads, this simply doesn't work anymore.
Yeah.
When we look at the Google Search Consoles of our clients at Flow Ninja, it's noticeable that the clicks have dropped overall. Not for the branded queries, of course, because people are still in the end searching for the brand in Google, getting on the website, but all the prior exploration of what they need, the services, the products, it's done within the LLM. It doesn't kind of mean that we should ignore like informational queries altogether or stop writing blogs, because these things are still cited in LLMs, right? So we need to continue doing that, but like it's not only clicks that we measure. Like this is a well performing blog because it has a lot of clicks, but it's the overall visibility on LLMs, the citations, the position where we are cited within the LLMs, and so on. So yeah, this is like it's a tough talk to have with like your superiors in a company if you're an SEO and they do not understand the SEO, and they just like say, hey, why we aren't getting as many clicks?
Yeah.
So, and then we just need to explain, well, look, the landscape is shifting, right? So we are still, if the business is still performing well, if we're filling the pipeline, if we're getting those leads, it's just a different approach. Basically, yeah, the shift is real. That is the point.
It's the funny thing is that people completely search things completely differently than they did before. Our growth marketeer even noticed something when she said when she's traveling to US, for example, a lot of people are not even using their phone to type anymore. They just use the audio, just saying to the phone whatever they want, and even if it's a Google search or whatever kind of search, whatever they really need, it's more on the audio side. So you can imagine how that can also impact the search overall, and how maybe they use Siri for search, how you show that results and so on. Ogin, what do you think about this?
Yeah, I fully agree with your points. And exactly like you just said, pretty much search is shifting from discovery phase to answer first. So less people are going to start searching with some keywords like they used to, maybe some 1, 2, or 3 phrases. And now it's just becoming full on question with your problem pretty much. So we have to start treating websites as a sources and explanation how our company solves those problems pretty much. So
Yeah.
as you can imagine, that's a quite harder thing to do, because we have to understand our audience. We have to know what their problems are and like zillion other questions. But again, it's a shift, it's a change. And I think the change is always good. That means that we are evolving. That means that we have to step up. We have to maybe stop being lazy with learning, and we have to start experimenting, because at the end of the day, SEO has always been experimenting marketing channel. So I think that this just shifts towards it. The thing is, it's happening rapidly. Like Mihaila said, maybe a year or so, we thought that this would take maybe a decade to implement and everything. And now within 6 months, we have seen a quite big shift. So I think that is the scariest part, not like the whole background of it.
It's
definitely
very exciting.
Yeah, definitely things went way faster than we expected them to be. And that's why people are in distress. They don't really know what's happening or what they need to do in order to start appearing in these searches. But the good thing is that AEO is also like an upgrade of SEO, in my opinion. And with that in mind, it means that pretty similar things also work for AEO. It's just a different way that people use the search and how you appear. Like you said, it's not clicks anymore. People go to ChatGPT or whatever and do the full search there. Sometimes I think, I don't know, I think it was someone from Flow Ninja said that one time happened that someone reached out to you guys, not even going to the website once to click or to fill up a form or anything. It was just directly reaching out through ChatGPT, which is amazing how things work, but also scary, because then you need to know how you're going to position yourself there. But overall, what do you think then would be the main difference between the AEO and SEO? I mean, is there a difference there?
Ogden, the older first.
Whoever wants. I mean, that doesn't.
I mean,
interrupt each other.
I would still I'm still in that phase where I wouldn't separate the two. I still, maybe it's wishful thinking, but I want to see AEO as just a layer on top of SEO, because if you take a look, for example, at the technical SEO that we've been doing like for 2-3 decades now, if you put a no index, no follow on a page, crawlers probably wouldn't, pay attention or access that page. And this also applies to AI crawlers, right? Because if this page is invisible, and this is like, I'm talking about this accidentally leaving these no indexes, no follows, it happens to the devs. And, and if it is on, this page cannot get cited, this page cannot be crawled, information cannot be extracted. So the technical
does that also work for AI bots? I mean, they're also not going to be visiting that page if you have no.
Yeah, I think yes, because it's like the general rule for the bots: no index, no follow. Basically, no follow is like no index is like a Google. Don't add it to the to your. No follow. It's like do not enter the page, right? And this works for all the bots, as far as I know. So yeah, if this information can be extracted, if there's like a technical SEO error on the website, then it's an AEO error, right? As well. Then if we take a look at the content from the content side, if you have good high quality content that answers actually and solves the problems of someone who needs like a solution, LLMs will just deliver this page better than Google, in my opinion, because in Google you can have like a super duper great page and you can still compete within like those 10 blue links. And if you have like a very like unique USP on this page and someone searches that in LLM, the chances are like this page will be number one delivered to someone who is searching. You know, I'm oversimplifying things, but like content still matters. We still need content. We still need to write content with our ICPs in mind, with their real like pain points, with everything like, and then have this content on the website. The way this content is written and presented may differ a bit. And this is like what we've been experimenting with in Flow Ninja, like adding the FAQs, adding the key takeaways. I know everyone is doing that, right? Then adding schema, I mean, schema is not new, but just like adding as much schema as possible, you know, to like serve the content to the AI crawlers in a way they can parse it in a much easier way. But then again, it's still, everything we do is an experiment, because we are still in the early stages of like reverse engineering how all of this works. And sometimes, and we're measuring everything, right? And so these are just like slight shifts. Some might not say slight, some might say like, okay, this is big because we are doing a lot of things. It's the things that have existed in SEO. FAQs have existed, schema has existed, key takeaways have existed, ICPs and writing, you know, jobs to be done content has existed for as long as the SEO has existed. But now they've become more important than ever. So yeah, sum up, it's like an upgrade. Like we had this in our like aces up our sleeves with schemas and everything, but it's just now we have to pay more attention to this. But yeah. So I'll let Tom talk a bit.
Yeah. I mean, it's a huge topic. Like we can talk about this for days, and not covering every single thing. But what do you think, Hagen, about this difference?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Like, I would say that SEO is still fundamental thing that has to be done in order to actually do proper AEO. So we will say that AEO is pretty much a layer. But again, there are differences. Like SEO is targeting keywords and queries, much shorter and much broader terms, where Google's algorithm is the one searching and doing like whole decision part, what is going to be on the list, pretty much ranking on a list of 10 pages, because no one is going to page 2, like we already know that. While AEO is trying, I mean, like you said, Stefan, people are now making conversation with AI search. So they're targeting conversational questions, which is a much more specific topic, specific cases. Therefore, like I said earlier, like we have to become a source of those informations. So from that aspect, like with SEO, you can maybe start targeting broader audience, while AEO is giving you that opportunity to actually narrow it down to your ICP. And I think that that's the biggest difference. And also why some companies like already performed well on LLMs, even though they haven't like even knew that this kind of shift is going to change, because they have treated SEO as a marketing channel in order to deliver their company's message to their ICP, but on that broader stage. Now AEO has just slimmed down and was able to pick up, like they already created maybe jobs to be done content that is answering like all of those problems, stuff like that. And AEO was able to just pick it up because it was live on the website. While maybe some other companies chased like those fancy keywords that have a lot of volumes, but again, maybe they were too broad and just not giving the value that actually their ICP needed.
Yeah, I mean, it was always about the ICP. I think the AEO thing is that once, I mean, from the technical aspect on page one, it wants maybe smaller chunks of text that can be easy to cite and quote. But again, what I noticed is that doesn't matter really. I mean, it's not that it doesn't matter, but it still matters, the on-page and technical AEO. But off-page is what moves the needle. That's why some companies, even if they don't invest a lot, they're still very much visible. And one of the top 5 mentions in AEO search results, because the off-page, the digital PR, the backlinks, like it's very strong. I mean, this is still something that I take as the highest priority, because it's something that someone else talks about you and says about you, and the website is mostly what you say about yourself. So I would say that maybe off page will, maybe it's even 70% of your search, maybe even more. I mean, I don't know, but more than the on page one. It's like becoming, it's SEO 2.0. And, it's a different platform that people use for search. So I just don't know how this is gonna end up with. It's a lot of experimentation. Some things work now and they're not maybe gonna work in 2 months. But definitely there's a lot of things, because when we started 6 months ago to work on SEO, like on page one, AEO, there was just very few things that you could do because people didn't know much. But now there is so many things, and who knows what's going to be by the end of the year. I mean, it's going to be, maybe it's going to be a completely different field of search, then maybe completely separate from SEO. We don't know that. I mean, who knows? What do you guys think?
Yeah, first of all, I think, yeah, but I mean, off-page SEO has been and is still very relevant.
Hmm.
Like it's also shifting a bit. Like the thing is that earlier you had to kind of hack Google's algorithms,
Yeah.
have specific anchors or non-anchor backlinks or specific like keywords that are going to backlink to your website. This is still kind of important because like I believe LLMs to an extent also use like the overall domain authority as important, and they want to source less relevant domains. You know, they do. They still like do source more or less relevant domains than Google, you know, where Google has like established like this domain authority thing. But it also comes down to mentions, which is like the big word in AEO. Like if your brand name is mentioned in relation to something you do in an external source, this is like a very, very positive signal for LLMs. For example, what we've been measuring, what has been immensely fun for me to do, is like tracking these best of keywords, prompts. We use Profound for tracking LLM performance.
We use, oh, no.
And just seeing which pages are cited for like best Webflow agency or something like that, and seeing like how it extracts information from these listicles, what our positions are, seeing what are the opportunities to like get ourselves to a certain list or improve our positioning on a certain listicle. And this is like something that, once again, it was important kind of in SEO because it's always important to be on these listicles and position as high as possible. But now sometimes prompt will cite like two listicles and you're on neither,
Yeah.
then you're not appearing in the answers of like what's the best Webflow agency. And then like the thing we're trying and we are experimenting, once again, this is like still fairly new to us, is that like outreach to these listicles, see how we can position better and track whether this has real impact on prompts that we are tracking. That said, experimenting, as Ognan said, is like very important nowadays. One thing that I'm like really I really need, and I believe every SEO needs right now, is like a tool which is like Google Search Console but for individual LLMs, like something comes from the backend that gives you information. That would be like super cool if like ChatGPT can give you a Google Search Console type of tool where you can actually see, information that they have in their database. It would be much easier to reverse engineering the entire thing. For now, it's all hit and miss.
Yeah. I mean, Profound gives you a pretty good understanding, but again, like you said, there's topics that you want to rank for, like Waffle Agency, but then there's so many prompts that can be used and so many different articles that are mentioned, and it's endless. So it's right now very difficult to do these things. So hopefully, yeah, maybe at some point, maybe even Google gonna come up with this kind of stuff, or maybe for Profound. I heard Webflow is gonna, or maybe it is published already, the AEO tool, which is currently for enterprise. Did you guys check it out? I mean, did anyone have access to it? Maybe it's
Not
beta.
sure if I'm allowed to talk about this. I just had a way to like.
Yeah, okay. If you cannot talk,
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
It's good.
It's good. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I hope they're gonna just try to bridge that gap. And I mean, I know they're always doing this stuff to provide everything on one platform. But yeah, let's see, because we really need a tool that's going to do this deep research and understanding of how everything works. How about you, Ogden? I mean, did you done any experimentation about this regard?
To be frankly, like I haven't had time to actually dive deep into experimentation
That's good.
part.
You're busy.
Yeah, but actually, like on my white table for 2026 goals is to create 3 to 5 affiliate websites just for testings. So I don't want to test my clients and break something over there. And I want to start testing some streams. And that's why I want to have like 3 to 5 websites that are going to be pretty much that. Because I used to work in the iGaming. I had some experience with some black hats and gray hat SEO tactics. And I will also like to test those out to see like how they are performing now for AEO. Like, okay, we know that in iGaming you have to use those for Google, but I don't like to use them for like my enterprise clients or software as a service clients because it's a total different thing and tactics. That I fully agree. Link building and off-page SEO is still a core service that has to be filled. But I think that the shift here is it used to be like we would highlight a couple of pages on the website that we have to have the most referring domains, and then we will create like silos and stuff like that. A lot different link building tactics for those pages. While now it's pretty much shifting to PR. Like I think that solving PR is going to be the biggest upper hand that you can have as an agency. Because the way just LLM works with their RAG systems and those kind of things they just scatter around the internet and pick up as much information as possible. While Google used to go deep in the page and crawl the link, and with all of those systems, they could have much more data because it's their own algorithm pretty much. While LLMs still has to rely on Google, on Bing, on those kind of stuff. And the more frequently you show up as a website, that's just my way of seeing it, the larger percent of the chance that you're going to be cited. So that's why PR is a great tool to utilize it on those kind of aspects for those kind of pretty much goals, but it has to be quality. And that is the whole thing with off page. It's hard to do quality off page while being scalable. So I think that when someone solves that issue, I think that is going to be the biggest like gray hair pretty much.
Like there, but it's still like from the data scraped by Profound and reported. It's sometimes funny is that how sometimes an article from a website, which is like kind of entirely new, it's not a well-written article, and then it gets cited the most for some reason. And this is like what bothers me the most. Like we have this, we're targeting the same keyword, the same prompt. We have like pretty good like domain authority. It's an article that we've like put our heart and souls into, then for some reason sometimes like ChatGPT would just pick up it's not on Google, it's not anywhere. I mean, it's like 50th page of Google or something like that, and it will just pick that one article and extract information from that article because for some reason it saw it as more relevant than our article or articles, other well-performing, well-written articles that are traditionally performing well on Google. And this is like I have like a problem with, because sometimes these like one-off things I don't know what they did better than us. I do like a full analysis from every like perspective, SEO perspective, content perspective, and then it still kind of comes to like they just picked it. They did like a deep crawl or something in the prompt triggered this specific article to surface. But as I said, it's scrape data from LLMs. We don't have like the backend data, and I'm really hopeful like that OpenAI would do something like Google Search Console. I mean, Sam Altman, if you're watching this, please create a Google Search Console equivalent for ChatGPT.
Unless Google, because Google, it's always, they're not falling behind, especially Microsoft. They're always seeing these things in time and provide solution for it. That's what Microsoft did with OpenAI. so, so I think that it's probably in progress with something like that. It's just that, like you said, nobody really truly understands how AI works for that part. So it's probably gonna take some time so they can give you something concrete. Otherwise, it's probably not gonna give that good results, even if they have it right now. But so regarding the article structure, I mean, there is a lot of things that we do implement now comparing to the things that we did before, which really helps with this positioning. But again, maybe AI just sees something that is more related to the prompt and it's quicker to understand it because maybe it's a smaller website or a less heavy article, or really the topic was just about that. Maybe it's that. I mean, I don't really know. But like we said, I mean, we said that we don't know a lot about these things much, but still you need to continue working, improving, and it's mostly about experimentation, like you guys said for now. But it's always like that. I mean, you always need to experiment in order to find the best results. But do you guys think that there are some companies that do well and did well for SEO, but they're not performing well on AI search? Can something like that happen?
The first company that comes to my mind, I mean, I haven't checked how they perform on AI search, but the HubSpot content strategy was like the go-to content strategy for every content strategies for a very long time, because they kind of invented this inbound content marketing where you write super helpful, super good content, and it's many times it's just based on these high volume informational queries, and the whole idea was like to click and to get to the HubSpot
Yeah.
blog or whichever part of their website. And then I remember when Google first started, updating and experimenting with AI overviews and AI mode, HubSpot was hit the hardest because like all these, like their informational blogs lost all their clicks. But then again, as I said, they are still a very strong source. They still have like a very good content. I believe that, haven't checked their website in a while, but I believe that they are doing everything they could to like make their content easier and more for LLMs to access. And but it's the first company that's like been hit hard by this change. But then again, from this, I don't know how their business is performing from that part, I'm not sure, but I think their business is still, performing pretty well. Yeah, they definitely had like a very good thing going on that doesn't work anymore. But as I said, they're probably pivoted and improved in the meantime.
Yeah, I don't know what they did with all of this stuff. I don't know if you guys know, but HubSpot also have a platform for building websites. Is not as intuitive as Webflow because we build websites there as well. It's like a second platform that we use. You can build pretty much anything, but with code. Without code, it's very limited to the templates. But for the content, yeah, I know as well that this was a thing, and I know that a lot of people are not getting content as much as they did before because of the clicks, and that also performs well because sometimes AI pick up that PDF or whatever kind of document that you have and recommend it to your client. Just do the summary of it, or just take one part of it because it's available. And if it's not available, you need to sign up, then it will never pick it up. So this is one of the things that we noticed regarding these things. But yeah, I don't really also have an example because from my research, if you perform well on the off page, you're still gonna perform well on the AI search. Doesn't matter if you invested in AI or not. Obviously, if you invest on the technical aspect, you will perform better. That's a fact, but still, it will not, like, you're not going to be visible anymore. I mean, Ogin, do you have any example like that?
Well, to be honest, I don't. Like, I would love to spend like a couple of days per month just researching stuff, but
Yeah.
my agency is still young and I have to,
Yeah,
I have more priorities. But hopefully one day. But yeah, I fully agree. I think like maybe some companies that used to write 5,000 words articles just to cover every single aspect of that topic might not perform as well. on AEO as they did on SEO, because pretty much the whole concept of AEO is concise, straightforward answer as fast as possible, which is something that users also want, and that is Google also shifting towards. Like, I did some research a couple of days ago for what is immersive art for some of the client, and the first two articles were actually just a page with one paragraph, what is immersive art, and that's it. So nothing history, not another thing, not anything. It was just an intent to see what it is, and that's it. So it looks like everything is pretty much shifting from concise and straight to the point answers, instead of doing like whole that broad thing covering every single aspect of everything. So maybe that's something that we should look up. Maybe we don't need one full comprehensive guide. Maybe we need now 10 pages, which is going to cover just those aspects.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, go ahead. I'll catch up.
No, I just wanted to comment, like, this has, like, in the earlier days of SEO, those articles, you remember them, where there's like an intro of like 500 words, and before you get to the point, it's like, come on, get to the point, and it's like just written for you to scroll to have some engagement before you get to the bottom and get the answer. Like, those type of articles definitely don't work anymore. But like, there's this perspective of like building topical authority around, some topics, like for example, in our example, like Webflow agency and so on. So we want to be noticed as authorities in the Webflow space, and still having these, like, there's still informational blogs, the informational pages, targeting informational queries, but are like a signal to the algorithms, hey, these guys are the authority in this space. And this is visible through LLMs as well, because when we turn off Webflow prompts that mention Webflow, our performance isn't that good. Whenever there's two exact prompts, one has like the word Webflow in it, the other is like more general, like give me the best healthcare website agency, blah, blah. Whenever it's Webflow, the citations go way up. So apparently LLMs do understand these like niches and topical clustering, and will cite you more if you are perceived as an authority. So from that perspective, once again, no fluff, no content fluff, no intros, but it's still like important, in my opinion, to have these sets of blogs or pages, like glossaries or whatever, which will give the signal to the algorithms that you're a topical authority in this space. After all, Google has like crafted these algorithms for a very, very long time, and I still trust them the most. I still trust Google the most on who to trust, because it's not just a well-written article. It's the positioning within these entities and clusters and niches that Google does very well and places your website. Okay, you are here and you probably know what you're talking about. Yeah, getting information and queries, but no fluff.
I would say that from my experience, both are true at the same time. I didn't check the short articles, because we do have one client that they always insist on a super short. I mean, blog is like just one paragraph. And I was like, why? He said, well, we have engineers, they don't really like to just they have guides and all this stuff that they need. This is just something like a summary for them. And I just didn't check how it works, because I didn't think of it. I thought just there's something that they insisted on, but it makes sense for the citations and mentions for that, because it's just a topic, and then if you see it solves the issue right away, then it's very high probability to use it. But again, overall blog articles are bottom of the funnel, and even if you have a very long article, if it's structured in a way that you have pieces of text or questions and answers on paragraphs, it can take it from the context and use it as a citation. On the other hand, we notice that there are some people that no matter how long the text is, they really don't want to read it at all. And they were like, can we just have AI to tell me what this is about? And then we said, okay, yeah, I mean, we can do that. So we added, we call it the action button. So you have a couple of different platforms with maybe even proposed, how is it called, prompts. so that it can summarize it for you depending on what you need. And that turns out very, very well because it's also good for a user experience side, and you also AI can use it. Now, we didn't compare how these kind of long form articles are competing with the short ones. There is a very good point that we could check, but I think both can be true at the same time. I don't know what you guys think about that one, but that is from what we tested.
That is the whole funny part of SEO and AEO and all those things, because for some website, one thing is going to be the best strategy ever, and for the second best website is going to be the worst. And I think, I think that's why testing is the most important thing, in order to grab the most amount of tactics and then to just check what is going to work on a website. Like, all of us must have already seen some websites that are pitch perfect. Everything's done from the best practices, but they just won't rank. They won't get picked up. They won't do anything. We can do anything about it. Like, it's at the end of the day, it's Google's power. Now it's ChatGPT.
Yeah.
So I just think that we have to stay flexible and agile. Like, that's the only thing that can save us from churning plans and stuff like that. Because like you just said, we cannot have concrete answer like yeah, this is 100% thing that is going to be 100% the best thing from your website from the get-go. We have to investigate, we have to see, we have to compare, we have to do a lot of things, so a lot of data. And using AI nowadays can help us a lot with that, like to just consume all of the data and to structure it in a way that is going to be useful. And I think that's how we also have to treat our websites, how to structure the data that is going to be useful pretty much.
You mentioned very, very important talking point, because this is like AI and SEO, and we've been looking at this, like how to get the citations and rank on in AI and LLMs. But like, what do you guys think about like the reverse process of like, how do you guys incorporate the AI tools into your SEO and AEO processes?
Well, like I said, one way that we do it is on a blog where you have actually we tested which tools you can generate that can generate prompt without asking you to log in. And for now, that is only ChatGPT, Perplexity, and Claude. Every other tool requires you to. I mean, you cannot just go from website and paste the prompt and then generates an answer. It doesn't work like that when you go it from other website as external link. So what we did is that we added it on blog articles as a summaries with some pre-made prompts, something that we see the most common things that people actually want on our website for blogs, because like I said, it's mostly bottom of the funnel and information heavy. It's not a lot of decision-making process at that or stage at that point. And also you need to maximize the usage of the tool, because ChatGPT, Perplexity, and Claude, all three of tools have a different strong points. So you want to leverage that for each tool and maybe highlight one thing that is better. And we also did the same thing for some pages, like contact, I think, and about page. And fun enough, people are using it, not a lot, but they are using it. And we went one step forward. I said, okay, let's this is all great, gives people insights. I don't know what is the percentage or chance that they will go back. I mean, it opens a new tab, but still, if they're going to go back to the website after that, leads them out of the website. It does also put the information on their AI about us, which is also good, but leaves the website. So what we can do? So we eventually created our own AI called Atlas. Same feeling like you go to all these tools. It's a page, you have a field to chat with it. It's not a chatbot, but works like AI, like ChatGPT, for example, because it uses ChatGPT API. And you can ask Atlas questions about Webflow, migration, stuff like that, and people are using it. It serves us almost as a salesperson, because tells clients what the things they want to ask. Obviously, needs a lot of adjustments all the time, so that does not give them an answer and they don't want to reach out anymore after that. But still, it was useful. Maybe like 10% of people are using it. This is one way that we actually tried to implement AI directly to our website. But do you guys, it's not something we would do for clients. It's something we did for us to see the results, and the results are great, but still gonna need more testing before we introduce to our clients. You guys tried something like that or different?
No, not really. I mean, it's a very good and useful thing that you did there. I noticed some of the agencies doing similar things in their websites.
Okay,
And sorry,
we did this a couple of months ago, actually.
wait. I mean, what I was like wondering, have you managed like to collect the data like MQLs or like land any leads this way that someone actually came and said, "Hey, I would just use this atlas and like, yeah, we demo with you."
It was a couple of leads. I know that because, okay, so if we use Upstash for the backend, it was needed to be all custom coded to Cursor and Cursor for front end and Upstash for backend. And Upstash also have the logs so that you can see the chats and all the questions people are asking. And we saw like a couple of them asking the questions, and we kind of connected it with the clients that reach out after that. So we did get leads. I mean, if you say like out of this 10% that do use it, maybe it's like a 2 or 3% that are leads. Like it's very small number, but still for some people, I mean, it's not meant to be for all, but for some people it's useful. But like I said, the thing is that doesn't need maintenance actually. It does pretty well, but it's kind of maintenance when you need to track the answers and then update and see if something went wrong, and then you need to change some prompt or what kind of answer is going to give or things like this.
Yeah. I mean, I like it. I really like it. It's definitely worth exploring something, especially like from this user experience perspective. We did like, I mean, something similar, but it's still in the area of like traditional SEO, where I asked the sales team like to get a pool of all their sales calls with clients and prospects and everything, and like give me some of the most commonly asked questions on this sales call. And this is like an AEO tactic, right? Where you actually try to answer these questions up front. And some of those might be like really specific, of course, as far as we can give this information pre-sales. And then like just create like an FAQ text, which is like,
On which page you can add that FAQ?
yeah, I mean, it's just a blog with questions and answers.
Okay.
And then I haven't actually measured how this performs, but what this would require me is like to add these as prompts in Profound and see if this page is getting cited. But like the idea behind the philosophy behind is like, if we can answer these super specific questions about our agency and how we do things that people are asking on the sales calls, it's very likely that they are asking this already to LLMs to understand more about us. So why not give them like this upfront, as I said, as much as we can give them upfront, and see if this functions like a pre-sale thing that would further take us into consideration by these people who are chatting with LLMs. But what you did is like a super good idea. I like it.
We approached it with the same way that you guys did, and then the questions that the clients, I mean leads, are asking on the calls, is that something also to consider and put an update everywhere? I mean, that makes sense. But again, there is a lot of things that you cannot really say, because even if you can give an answer, like a straight answer, still it's not always good to give it, because maybe sometimes you need to be on a call because it's highest chances to sell than to just give an answer and then say thank you and go to someone else, go to your competitor. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I know you're busy with this stuff, but did you maybe think about some ideas? Do you have some ideas maybe about this kind of things?
Well, to be honest, I usually use the AI tools like in the basic service way, so maybe to just do some data analysis, to fast to automatize via automatizations or maybe to just help with execution. But to be honest, I have never thought about it in the way that you just described it. So you definitely gave me homework for over the weekend to do a brainstorming session, like how can you actually use AI tools on the website? Like, to be honest, it never come up on my mind. But I think that that's an interesting idea that can be quite useful for users, but as well for agencies and companies to just extract the data, because the original data is going to be the, I think, key separator between the ones who win and the one that just got eaten by all of these changes.
This is a super important point that you just mentioned, and this is like one of the differentiators for the AEO is like what Ognan said. The original data is like if you have like a big pool of things that are on the internet, and then you contribute to this pool with your own unique data or processes or wherever. Uh, this is something novel to the LLMs. This is where you're leading, and this is if these numbers or anything get cited, this is important for you. Instead of like writing just repurposing content or restructuring the information that's already online, you contribute something that's precisely from your company, from your thoughts, your data. And this is what Google always loved, actually. The original data, original numbers, it's like something that Google, it was built to notice and like a reward for going the distance instead of just scraping the data online. And I think this has become more and more important in the age of AI. Like,
Yeah.
you have something unique that you can share, and LLMs can pick it up, go share it, especially if it's relevant to your ICPs.
I think it's important for all of us that we always experiment on these kind of things and then we share knowledge. Obviously, that doesn't mean that this is going to work for you, but maybe you got to get some idea of something that will work for you in a maybe similar way, or just you're just going to inspire you, if nothing else. And I think this is what's going to push all of us up front. Then okay, so then someone needs something, invented something better. Then okay, you need to find a way that you're going to do something better. I mean, for you, obviously. And this is what push innovation. This is innovation. This is what pushes us forward. Um, we're getting close to this. I mean, it's very. I mean, I'm really excited about all of these things when I talk. But we kind of have around 1 hour, and it's fine if we go above that a little bit. It's not a problem. But because we're getting closer, I want to ask you guys, because we know that you cannot do experimentation, especially on clients' websites. It's risky. You're gonna, yeah, it creates a lot of problems. But do you think that companies in general needs to be early adopters of AI search or AI?
I mean, caution is necessary, right? The the bigger the company, I guess the more difficult the adoption. So it's easy for us as an agency to adopt and introduce the processes both around SEO that we are offering to clients and doing on our website. But I cannot ask like a company with like 1,000+ people, an enterprise company, to like, hey, we have this AEO, you need to try it. And then you usually get to someone who needs to get the approval from someone else above them, who needs to get the approval from someone else above them, and then the legal team needs to enter and say, but a lot of information could leak on LLMs and we need to be careful. In my experience, yes, of course, everyone needs to be on board. Of course, everyone needs to experiment. But like for the bigger clients, the introduction of like AEO as like, of course, CMOs are always, okay, we need to have this AEO thing, but like implementing it is still like, okay, we need to take this carefully and then let's get this one article that's AI optimized on your website, and then we'll take it from there. There are clients like that who take it really slow. I mean, Ogin perhaps knows about which client I'm talking about, but it's we're always trying to like sell AEO as something that should be incorporated as fast as possible.
What do you think, Ogin?
I mean, I'm an SEO guy, so I always like to go based on the data and according to some researchers that HS and Semrush did recently. I think that I about 25% that conversions are up to 25% more via AI traffic than basic SEO search because of the all things that we already mentioned in this podcast. And I think that is a great signal to take to start thinking about that way. Maybe some companies are not like, if are they're still skeptical about this, there is still like sources that they have to start filling in, and that is brand trust, brand signals, word of mouth on the internet, which is off-page SEO and stuff like that. So maybe if someone is not ready to jump in fully, there are still fundamental things that they have to be covered via SEO and AEO. My way of seeing is, yeah, definitely they should be early adopters because everything is signaling that we are moving into that direction. Google itself is shifting in that direction, and Google is currently like they don't have monopoly, but they have monopoly in the search. If giants are moving in that direction and they're the one that are actually creating those changes, I think that companies just have to buckle up, learn, and just start investing because it can be a great success if they're earlier and they start picking up the traffic while their competitors are still figuring out, okay, should we do it or not?
I mean, the people still use Google more for search. That's a fact. But I think very soon AI search will dominate that area. Everything just goes towards that direction, and more people. I mean, I know that a lot of people around me that never used AI or ChatGPT and was totally against it, and now they use it every day. So you can imagine what happens on a global scale, especially in the businesses and stuff like that. So I don't know how fast, but at some point, pretty soon, AI will take over the search. And then, if you're a company that didn't invest in that kind of thing, then I mean, it's never too late, obviously, to start. But you're gonna fall behind, and if the bigger the company, then the more difficult it is to get back on track because you're just falling behind a lot. So we'll see. We'll see how this thing's gonna go. It's good that we are all still trying to think about these things, invest, experiment, try out, because I think that is what is gonna keep us in the game. Okay. Do you guys have anything else to add for the end?
Just one thing that I think we all forgot to mention here, and that is Reddit. User generated content, like the importance of it in the age of LLMs is just like couldn't conclude this podcast without actually mentioning how important this UGC has become recently. And to be honest, like internally we haven't actually experimented with it a lot because it's difficult, because user generated content needs to come from the users, and we are in a B2B space where users are not always surfing Reddit and writing things about us, or
Yeah. Right.
but for the bigger players, this is like, especially B2C, where there are a lot of customers, it's important, it's more important than ever how this actually, the actual strategies behind a Reddit game, and your user generated content game up there and being competitive. I'm still not sure how to do this, but this is something I'm willing to explore. This is just something I wanted to kind of add here because it is important.
I tried out the Reddit quite a few times. It can backfire you quite easily because, first of all, whatever you write there, it's never going to disappear. You cannot delete. You can delete a comment, I think, but a post you can never delete. So this is why, one of the reasons why AI considered that one, because you cannot just type. I mean, you can write anything, but then it's going to backfire. But the other thing is that you can create a lot of noise. But again, it's still just like you said, even if you have it very successful, it's still you talking about yourself, and you need other people to talk about you.
Exactly.
And in order to do that, you need to have a strong brand. So branding needs to be worked on. And as we know, to have a good branding on that level, is on a bigger level, it just requires a lot of money, like a big budgets and stuff. So yeah, we do what we can with what we have.
And this is a conversation for another
Yeah.
whole podcast, you know.
Yeah. Okay, Agni, anything for you to add for the end?
Well, from my end, only thing I can say to listeners are start auditing AEO visibility, start testing like on a couple of pages, restructure it based on Q&A stuff, check robust.txt to see if you're allowing AI bots to crawl your website, and hope for the best and find the best agency to help you with AI growth.
No, that is true, because you cannot be professional or like maximum level at everything. You're going to be good at something, but you're only going to be great at one or two things. So yeah, it's no shame in that.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. I think it's all great. I think we had a good foundation for people to get to know us a little bit better, and maybe be more willing to listen our official talk at the conference, 21st May, Belgrade, Ložionica, right? In Belgrade this year, so it's not next year. Okay. Yeah. Okay. For the end, where people can find you guys, where you're most active, where can learn more about you, whatever you want.
Yeah, well, I'm not all that like exposed professionally. I'm on LinkedIn, and you know, anyone interested in, you know, chatting with me can add me on LinkedIn. I post from time to time just, you know, some of my thoughts, but I should definitely be more active on LinkedIn. Yeah.
Branding.
Yeah, same here. Ognjen Grujic on LinkedIn. Feel free to reach out. I'm always happy to chat and to discuss things. And also use SEO.agency. If you need anything related to SEO or AEO, we're always happy to help.
Okay. I mean, they can always reach you out on the website as well if someone interested in working with you guys, obviously. Yeah. Okay. Thank you guys so much. And we're going to see hopefully all of you guys on conference. See you next time.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.